Hello everyone and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Today we're going to be clicking on the sport mode icon for the very first time. I'm yet to so much as enter this game mode, and the first thing it did was cut off the recording. So let's try again. The reason is it asked me to enter my location and it doesn't allow recording in that section of the game when it asks for personal details, etc. So that makes sense. Anyway, we have all this intro screens to skim through. I'm not going to read out all of this now, but it's a whole description of how sport mode works, different tiers, etc. And yeah, right now the main thing to note is that our rating is EB, E for DR, driver rating, B for sportsmanship rating, SR, and it doesn't take a genius to work out what the system is. It's just A down to E for best down to worst. There's also A plus and S for driver rating if you get really good, and I believe there's S for safety rating as well. Anyway, in terms of manufacturers we have to choose from to drive in what we're going to be doing, the GT World Series Manufacturers Championship, we are absolutely spoiled for choice. I'm not actually going to read them all out, but you can see them all on screen. A large quantity of the manufacturers in the game that have modern cars are available, and no matter which one we choose, we need to have a Group 3 car, basically a GT3, and a Group 4 car, basically a GT4. And we are going to sign up with Dodge. The Dodge Group 4 car is, well, exactly what that is, a Dodge Viper Group 4. The Group 3 car is the Viper SRT GT3R from 2015. And those will be the two cars we drive throughout this GT World Series Manufacturers Exhibition Series, whatever this is called, I don't know. Anyway, there are the two cars, the Group 4 car on the left, the Group 3 car on the right, and those will be the ones we'll be competing in over the course of the season. Should mention though, the first two races have already passed, so we're only going to be doing the second two races of the four. But that actually doesn't really matter too much, because from what I can tell, the system, the point system has that kind of drop scores thing where only your best two results of the championship will count, and the worst of your two results will be dropped. So in my case, only competing in two of the four races, we still have the opportunity to maximize our points if we do well in the races we compete in, and it'll just drop the 2 zeros that we didn't do, or for the races we didn't do at the start. We missed Nürburgring and Watkins Glen, I believe. But anyway, we have signed up with Dodge, and they will hopefully provide us with a good car. One thing I didn't realize actually is we actually got those cars for free. I mean I already had them, but all of a sudden after signing up with Dodge I found out I had duplicates of those two cars, which is cool. But anyway, before we actually get into any of the racing action, we will have a little look at the circuit. Not that Bathurst needs much introduction, but also because shortly before this race I did a few practice laps, and one of them was the fastest lap ever for me around Bathurst in probably in any Group 3 car, let alone this thing, which is, I don't know how it compares to other Group 3 cars, but it's a little bit on the wilder side. So here we are in practice for the event. A little bit of a moment through turn 1, but shouldn't have cost us too much, I don't think, as we head up Mountain Straight. You can see we did lose a little bit though to the Ghost, so yeah, we still have a tiny bit more room for improvement as we head through Griffin's Bend and along towards the cutting for the well, I was going to say for the first time in this video. I've done many laps in practice for this event as we work our way up through Reed Park, Solomon Park, and eventually up towards McPhillamy, slowly sort of honing in on our Ghost as we get a little bit up on the inside grass there. Lucky we don't get our lap invalidated for that. There is a very strict wall collision penalties. Any brush with the wall is a 1.5 second penalty, no question. So we cannot touch the barriers, and a track like Bathurst, that is much easier said than done, and we'll see that play out throughout the race almost certainly. But it was a great run through the S's. Forest Elbow, we took a bit of a narrow line in, but still managed to maximise our speed through there nicely, and we are rocketing down Conrod Straight with a massive gain over our Ghost, which wasn't a fantastic lap, but still we are gaining massively. And now into the chase, late on the brakes here. It's so satisfying to get through here in a Group 3 car. You just brake so ridiculously late for that corner. It's quite insane. But into Murray's corner now, and this will finish off what's been a pretty good lap. We almost made a mess of that, but we just about kept things under control, and that is a 2:05.9, and the best lap I was able to achieve throughout the course of this event. And it was in practice, not qualifying, unfortunately, so it won't count for much, but it is cool to get that lap time in nonetheless. Anyway, here are the people we're going to be racing against in our race. 15 other drivers, including Charles Leclerc, Lightning McQueen, and T, among many others. But a few names certainly stand out on that list. No idea who any of these people are. I did see T in one of the practice races, but all the others, never seen these drivers before, so who knows how this is going to go. But qualifying is about to get started. We could have been on track doing warm-up laps by now, but we're not doing that. We're going to head straight into qualifying, and we'll see how it goes. I'm banking on a good qualifying. I'm hoping we can get a good qualifying because I don't know, with due respect, I don't know what the quality of the field is going to be like, how cleanly everyone's going to be driving, so we'll see. I want to be ahead of the chaos, if indeed there is any, but we'll see how it goes. Good job, AI driver. You just crashed into the pit wall before we've even left the pit exit, so that's brilliant. But anyway, we get out ready for qualifying. We can have a brief look at the livery there as we go zooming past someone parked along the straight there. But anyway, as we continue later on the lap, the Corvette bins it as we head down through the S's. That was Bosco Chang finding the barriers as we work our way now through Forest's Elbow and onto Conrod Straight. We've got a penalty for scraping the barrier somewhere earlier in the lap. Not a big deal because this is our out lap, but you know, it's all too easy to do, so we will have to be very careful of that. Thankfully there was no one close enough behind that we really needed to worry too much about that. But anyway, we get on to our first flying lap, and we move straight onto Griffin's Bend up towards the cutting for the first time, and we just scrape the barrier there. Bad line, carried too much speed in, and there's a 1.5 second penalty we have to take on Conrod Straight, which probably, I would imagine, costs us more than 1.5 seconds. But anyway, we are having an awkward moment there with Lightning McQueen, who's had a bit of a moment over the top of the mountain, and we sort of inadvertently got a bit caught up in that, and now we're in an awkward situation because we're faster, but we're on a qualifying lap, so you know, Lightning's not going to move out of our way. Didn't know Lightning McQueen was a Lamborghini. That's news to me. But anyway, into Forest Elbow now. Lightning McQueen goes very wide, not the racing line through there. We have to kind of drive around, but this lap's already in tatters anyway, so I'm not too concerned about having to do that. we'll take our penalty, and we will, we'll finish this lap, see what it is, and focus on the second lap. But even this lap, it won't be great, but it will get us ahead of a few people, which is better than nothing. Jester actually challenged me to start from last position, but I really don't like the sound of that. Once I actually got into the lobby, saw there was 15 others or 14 others, I'm thinking, no, I don't want to be behind everyone. So yeah, that's why we're qualifying, and we're going to see what we can do. So we begin our second lap in qualifying now, and hopefully this one can go a little bit better. We do have another car in front of us, but even that first lap, at least provisionally, has put us in fourth position. So, that will get us ahead of quite a few people, even if it stays as it is now. Although more people are improving, we're down to 5th place, 6th place, and so on. So, yeah, it is, going to be an ever-changing thing as always. But we should be able to improve on this lap, provided we don't make any mistakes. And, even if we just start in the top half, that will, hopefully keep us out of, the worst of the action. But anyway, we grazed the barrier again. It was probably a bit more of a graze. A bit more than a graze, I should say. That was more of a thump. But unfortunately, that's given us another penalty, however you choose to describe our interaction with the barrier, and that has effectively ruined this lap as well. We still have a chance to improve though, because the car in front of us does have fairly decent pace, so we're not going to have to worry too much about them. So we head down through the S's. We gain a chunk of time there though, as we weave our way down, and we might be in position to get a nice bit of slipstream along Conrod Straight, which would be quite handy. We've both got penalties, myself and Dylan in front in the Supra, so let's see if we can get in this slipstream, gain some straight line speed, and that is working nicely for us. With the penalties, we actually draw alongside. It seems like we lost slightly less time than the Supra, just the way, I guess, momentum works. Maybe our car's a bit heavier, I'm not sure, but whatever the case is, we are now going to make the move down the inside into the chase. Not really what you want to be doing in a qualifying lap, but I had to get that done as Dylan goes off the road, unfortunately, and lose a bunch of time there. But yeah, I wanted to get that move done to make sure we maximize the last few corners of the lap, and that is what we've been able to do. Still no great lap, unfortunately. It's going to put us P6 on the grid. Nothing like the 2:05.9. We are some 6 seconds away from that number. So yeah, unfortunate, but yeah, it's the best I could do. Pole position goes the way of SMI 32, 2:04, so miles better than anything I've ever done. So I don't think we'll be fighting for the lead in this one, but we'll see. We may be in with a chance of a podium or a top 5, depending on how consistent everyone else is, because that's the big thing in this race. It's 14 laps at Bathurst with very strict wall collision penalties. Consistency will be everything. We're going to be starting on the hard compound tyres for this one, and we'll be moving on to the medium compound later on, and that will be our strategy. We'll probably only do one lap on the hards, actually, to be fair. The mediums can, I think, last the entire race. T looks pretty happy in the chat there, qualifying in 4th position, so that is a great effort. I don't know if I mentioned, T was in a couple of the practice races I did earlier. But anyway, there are the points for this race. They are kind of messed up. 14 for the winner, 13 for 2nd and 3rd, 12 for 4th and 5th, all the way down for to 6 points for last place. It makes no sense, but that's what we have to work with. Let's get into it. there we have it. World Series and Manufacturers Cup final. Exhibition Series Season 2, Round 3. Sure. I'll pretend to know what that's going on about. So, the game is about to do my job for me and show off all the cars in a fancy intro style. So that saves me a job that I've been doing with the Trans Am videos. It is going to be SMI 32 on pole position ahead of Broccoli. And then in the third position we have Charles Leclerc. Fourth position we have T. Starting P5 we have R. Pearman, or Pearman, I'm not sure. Starting at P6 we have myself, McPlayer 8T. Starting P7 we have Carl. Starting P8 we have Dylan. In 9th position on the grid we have Apex GTNZ. Starting P10 we have Mr. C. Hunt. P11 on the grid we have the one and only Lightning McQueen. P12 on the grid we have Jack Sisson. P13 on the grid we have Bosco Chang. Starting in 14th we have Tag with some Chinese characters. I don't know what they say. Starting P15 we have Venom. And that rounds off the grid. We got the number 5 on our car for this one. Not a number we can choose apparently. It gives us a number based on whatever it feels like, I suppose. Not our starting position though. We are starting 6th. So yeah, I don't know what... maybe it's a guess of where we should be based on our driver ranking. I'm not sure. But maybe that is a position we can aim for. We'll see how the race goes. But this can be quite a tricky start here when you do a rolling start for those starting on the final corner just behind us. Thankfully for us, we're just past that and we race our way down towards the first corner as we get underway for this race. We almost plow into the back of the GTR in front. We just about get away with a bit of a wobble on the exit, but we're now racing up the hill, up Mountain Straight for the first time, and we have some clear space around us. The Supra there behind looking pretty quick. Dylan going for the move now down the inside as we head into Griffin's Bend, and that's a nice move by the Supra, cleanly done there, and moves up one spot. We drop down into P7, but I'm not too concerned yet as Dylan goes deep into the slide left-hander of turn 3, grazes the barrier. That'll be a penalty and possibly damage, but certainly a lost position to us and to Carl behind as well, and yeah, that's a shame. But anyway, we continue to work our way over the top of the mountain, and this is all about just keeping it clean on our first lap. We're on the hard compound tyres, which is why I'm not stressing too hard about the pace and losing a bit to the cars in front. This is the start of the race for Lightning McQueen. Like I said, it's awkward for those starting on that final corner, and Lightning McQueen found that out the hard way and just bounced off that inside curb straight into the outside barrier. Then had a bit of a moment through turn 1 as well, got a bit out of shape, and then wow, just bumps Tag off the road there, so that's a little bit rude, and then does the same to Venom. So I don't know, they call themselves Lightning McQueen, but they're driving more like Chick Hicks at the moment. But anyway, we're not going to worry about that. They're way behind us, and we can focus on what's going on in front. Got the big GTR in front of us, so let's see if we can make them move a sneaky one down the inside into Forest Elbow. They see us coming and give us the space, and we give them plenty of respect on the exit, and that's a nice move there to move ourselves up one position into P4 now. So just keeping it clean, we've gone from 7th to 4th. Meanwhile, it wasn't so good for some drivers further back. That's T into the barrier after qualifying P4. That's not how T would have wanted us to start this race, unfortunately. And there's Lightning going through as these two are pretty close together, Tag and Venom, and Venom makes the move on Tag through the S's. A little bit of ghosting involved there. Ghosting is quite heavy in these races, as T once again defines the barrier. So yeah, that's a shame T's not had the first lap to remember. Unfortunately, drops down into last position. Meanwhile, we head through the chase. Pearman's all over us, as we peel off into the pit lane, and we will get our pit stop out of the way and nice and early in this one, get off the hard compound tyres onto the mediums. It's a required change in this race. Not sure if I've explained that yet or not, but we're into the pits to make that change. Meanwhile, further back, we have this little scrap going on as Carl gets a bit out of shape, and we'll drop a spot there, but no harm done. That was a good save to keep that going. Meanwhile, we're finally into our box to get those medium compound tyres on. These will take us to the end of the race. They'll be a little bit worn out by the end, but they will get us there. And we're out of pit lane, running side by side with Venom as we head up the hill once again up Mountain Straight. And it seems like we have marginally better straight line speed than the McLaren, and we're going to be able to hold this one off if we can keep it on the outside here. Venom doesn't give us any trouble, and we managed to hold that position. So yeah, we in a small amount of clean air. Meanwhile, this is what we didn't see behind. That was Bosco Chang going off the road, and Venom having to take avoiding action between Bosco and myself there for a moment. But the Corvette gets going again, and we will carry on. Graze with the barrier there. Unfortunate that we continue to make that little mistake. We need to clean up our act in that corner as we give Tag a little bit of a bump as we head up the hill, and another little bump there as we make our way past, and that one was quite a bit more significant, and we actually completely spun Tag out there. I didn't think the bump was that bad, but they disappeared completely, so something terrible has happened to that car. Here's the onboard looking rearwards. There's the first bump looking rearwards from Tag, and then there's the second one. Whack. And wow, it actually spun full 180 there, and oh, this is horrible. This is going to be a many point turn. There's one, that's two, that's three, reverse, that's four, and they're going to get it now. Nope, that's five, that's six, and that is a 7-point turn. That is not on the driver's license test, but they've made it work and got going again. But that is most unfortunate. Here it is, very much slowed down from my perspective. I was trying to keep it tight on the inside, and I saw the closing speed was quite rapid, so I was going to just try and sneak through. But right as I was sort of getting there, Tag started, I wouldn't say moving across, but it was turning a lot sharper than I anticipated. Wasn't using as much of the road on the left-hand side as I kind of expected. You can see there's still a lot of space there, and the contact wasn't that much, but the speed differential just must have tipped the car into a spin. I'm not really sure, but certainly from my end it didn't feel too significant, but it just tipped that car straight into a completely unrecoverable spin. They're already completely sideways across the road, so I mean, it's my fault. I made the contact, and that's just very unfortunate. So frustrated to do that, but the contact with the wall there is bizarre as well. The way the car just flicked backwards so quickly, very strange. I don't know. It's it was a bit of a weird incident, but completely my fault. But anyway, that's the risk when you do make that early pit stop and put yourself back in that traffic. You can get involved in those things. Meanwhile, there's a cracking battle going on here between Carl and Jack Sisson, and Jack just throws it off the road after making a good move there, so that's unfortunate. Little mistake there, and Carl will maintain that position in the Aston Martin. But we have Lightning McQueen catching up as well. Jack's got a penalty, so this could potentially give an opportunity to Lightning McQueen. There's going to be a little bit of this sort of back and forth as different drivers slowly find their rhythms, and others continue to make mistakes, whatever it may be. It's going to be a lot of this penalties along Conrod Straight, as Lightning McQueen is now rapidly closing in to the back of Jack Sisson, and now running into the chase. Is Lightning McQueen close enough, looking for the move down the inside. It's a late one, and contact, and that's Jack Sisson spinning off the road now. And that is very unfortunate. We come through and just about avoid the stranded Jaguar there. But that is a lot of time lost there for Jack after that spin. Yeah, here's the onboard, and Lightning McQueen looking for the move, a little bit indecisive, and that bit of indecision, you know, it costs you a little bit of braking performance, and that could have made the difference. And then Jack scrambles out the way, trying not to get off the racing line there. Good effort to not get anyone else involved in that. The ghosting would have taken care of that anyway, but still, it's you know, always distracting when you see a car parked on the racing line. But anyway, we look to the leaders now. SMI is still in the lead, but Charles Leclerc is going for the move down the inside into the chase, side by side, and takes it. SMI back down the inside though, and immediately takes it back in the Lexus, back into the lead. That screaming Mazda though in hot pursuit. So this battle is far from over, but a little that penalty. Oh, a spin there for SMI 32, and that is going to hand the lead to Charles Leclerc, and Brock Ollie gets through into second position as well. So yeah, SMI 32 has some work to do to make up for that spin, but they do have the pace, so we'll see how it goes in the battle for the podium positions. Meanwhile, Carl goes for the move down the inside, and that's a nice one there at the chase, and gets ahead of Apex GT and will happily take that position in the Aston Martin. Seems to have pretty good pace. Have to keep an eye on them throughout the rest of the race. But at the moment, they are now having a look for the move down the inside of Dylan, who's on the defensive there. Carl not able to make that position, but these two will continue this fight for a little while as they head up the hill. The Aston Martin trying to use all of the cylinders under that bonnet to close into the Supra in the slipstream, but just not quite enough power to get close enough at this stage up Mountain Straight. And the Supra's going to hold on for the time being as they head through Griffin's Bend. Meanwhile, this is a tag just going straight ahead at turn 1, oof, into the barrier, and they will finish their race there, unfortunately. On board with myself once again. We haven't really checked in with my own race for a while. We're currently sitting 9th position, many others still yet to make their pit stops, of course, as we go for the very ambitious look down the inside of Apex GTNZ, but we were never going to be close enough to make that move. We're actually lucky not to do the Lightning McQueen there and just completely take out the car in front. But anyway, we're closing into Apex once again, so we'll see if we can potentially make the move maybe at Griffin's Bend, trying to take a late Apex, get a good exit here, and we're going to draw alongside quite early, and we'll take that position along Mountain Straight, and Apex will slot in behind, and we'll take 8th position as we continue to push our way forwards through this race. Meanwhile, Broccoli runs in 2nd position, SMI 32 3rd, and they are about to swap. SMI down the inside as they run side by side into the chase once again. The podium contenders taking some risky maneuvers at that part of the circuit, but SMI 32 gets through and makes it look easy at the chase there, and they're absolutely putting on a show for the fans down at the chase. That's 2 passes, for podium positions, that part of the circuit, and that very, absolutely flat out right-hander. That is awesome stuff. Meanwhile, we go back to Dylan, who finds the barrier, hard into the barrier there for the Supra, and that's unfortunate. And yeah, they feeling the pressure with Carl sitting right behind, and now on board with myself, situated behind the Supra, and we just grazed the outside barrier there. It was the old trick of, one car goes wide, the next car goes wider, and that next car was myself. We both hit the barriers, and we have a couple of penalties to serve here. So unfortunately we lose out there, and that's actually going to allow Apex back in front of us, unfortunately. So yeah, it's you know, a step forward, a step back. I won't say 2 steps back. It's not that bad, but it's not ideal for that to have happened. Apex immediately throws it off the road though with the chase. We anticipate that one nicely and tuck back to the inside and get that position back, as Apex I think now will pull into the pit lane and make their pit stop, so we're not going to be seeing too much of them, at least in terms of our own race from now to the end. As we continue on, we begin to catch up to Dylan once again as we head over the top of the mountain. Dylan's got a penalty as we get a great run here. We're going to sneak to the inside half on the grass there, and we get through on Dylan and move ourselves ahead. Where did he go? Dylan has actually retired from the race right at the moment we were passing, so that was a weird little moment there. But anyway, that is what happened there. Meanwhile, we have the Porsche of Mr. C. Hunt looking for the move on the GTR of Mr. Pearman, and not getting through there. Hunt actually started a fair way down the field, I think, so been a good comeback so far in this race. Has made some decent progress, and now is looking for the move down the inside into Murray's corner, and I think just about gets the move done, although the GTR still situated on the outside as they head into Hell Corner. The Porsche will just about cover him off, and that is the positional gain for Mr. C. Hunt in the Porsche. Meanwhile, awkward incident there. That is the same 2 drivers Pearman into the barrier in the S's. I think what happened here, I think it was caught out by the Porsche taking a bit of an unusual line, just running it too deep, and then just got all out of shape, and yeah, didn't know where to go through the S's. That is very respectful there, letting Carl go through and then continuing on their merry way. But that is sportsmanship right there, as we go back on board with myself. Got the front wheels off the ground into McPhillamy, and that is the result. Full 360, and we continue on our way. That was probably my biggest mistake of the day, aside from the collision with Tag. You know, that's obviously a bad one, affecting other drivers, but in terms of just, you know, track related errors, yeah, we also constantly knocked the barrier there as well, so that was not a great lap. No need to say any more about that. But the fight with the leaders on here, SMI 32 going for the lead down the inside of Charles Leclerc, and gets the move done nicely there through Griffin's Bend. Although a bit of a moment on the exit, Leclerc is getting back around the outside and retakes the lead. So these two are having an absolute scrap, and a few little mistakes here and there still costing SMI 32. So plenty left to play out there, as well. That is Jack Sisson going off the road at the exit of the chase on the left hand side. I've made many mistakes in the chase. I don't think I've made that one, but that's a new one for Jack Sisson. Jack Sisson actually started on hard compound tyres, still on the hard compound tyres. Unusual strategy so far. We'll see how that plays out over the course of the rest of the race. Meanwhile, Carl is coming into the pits and actually cut the pit entry there, and that is a very bad mistake to make, because not only do you get the 3-second time penalty for crossing the pit entry line, you can also get an additional penalty for cutting the corner as the new set of tyres go on, and Carl comes out of pit lane and then cuts the pit exit line, which amounts to a 7.5-second penalty for Carl. So in the late stages of this race, that is a game changer, because there we are, not too far behind. We skip ahead to Conrod Straight. Carl has to serve the penalty. We have one of our own, but it's only a small one in comparison. We go zooming past, and that will put us into P6, as Carl has thrown away a whole position basically from that mistake. Being on the hard tyres now, we may have had better pace anyway than Carl, as we have the mediums, but you know, who's to say how things would have played out otherwise. But we also have now Mr. C Hunt into the pit lane in the Porsche, and I think Mr. C Hunt made the worst mistake of the race. Made a pit stop as required, but put the wrong tyres on. Went from mediums to mediums, did not use the hards, and that is the worst thing you can do. Not only will you have to serve a 1-minute penalty at the end of the race for not using the hard tyres, but you also lose the 20 seconds or so from making that pit stop. So it's the worst of both worlds for Mr. C Hunt, and that'll ruin what was going to be a pretty decent result in this one. We look back to myself, we're not that far behind, and the GTR in front of us as well, I don't think made a pit stop. So we could be in to gain a position or two here right at the end through penalties. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Venom back there in 10th, a lap down, still pushing on. But we look to the leader now. This is the final lap, the final corner, and Charles Leclerc has driven a near-perfect race. And it is going to be a well-deserved race victory for the screaming Mazda as Charles Leclerc brings it across the line. Second place will go the way of SMI 32. A couple of less mistakes, and that Lexus could have been on for the win. Rockalai brings home the Gran Turismo movie liveried GTR in third position, and then we look back to the car fourth on the road, Mr. Pearman, or Mrs., I don't know, but anyway, heading through the chase for the final time. And like I said, I believe this car did not make a pit stop over the course of this race, and is about to be whacked on the wrist with a hefty time penalty. We'll see as they cross the line, as the Porsche follows suit. Also going to be hit with a 1-minute penalty, so as we cross the line we go from 6th to 4th with those two penalties, and that is a result I'm pretty happy with at the end of this one. Fairly clean race, and at the end of the day there's no chance I was going to keep up with the top three, so that's really the maximum we could have done. And Carl behind us also gains 2 spots from those penalties. And tell you what, the Honda NSX of Apex GTNZ might be close enough to gain the advantage from those penalties as well, and does so, and gains 2 spots across the line. So that is fantastic for the Honda there, as the last couple of drivers bring it across the line. Jack Sisson and the McLaren of Venom a lap down, but crossing the line and taking the finish, grabbing a few points, and that is commendable when you've had a tough race. Look at all the DNFs further back, 15 starters, only 10 finishers. So yeah, it is an effort to make it to the end of such a long race when it's not going your way. But there are the results. You can see the penalties for those who did not make their pit stops, and yeah, that is how it's played out. 3 drivers. The last one hasn't come up yet, but yeah, Jack Sisson, Mr. C Hunt, and Pearman did not make the required pit stops and all got penalties. So yeah, it's tough, but that's the rules. You have to use both tyre compounds, and if you don't, you get a big penalty. And it has cost 3 drivers dearly, or 2 drivers. I think 1 remained in the same position, but yeah, that is the way it's gone. And yeah, at the end of that, like I said, P4, I'm pretty happy with that result, really. I don't think I really could have done much better, even if I had a perfect race. Those top 3, Charles Leclerc, SMI 32, and Broccoli, were all too quick. There's the points confirmation. We will get 12 points for our efforts in this one. Would have been the same if we got 5th, so you know, that move on Carl, who got 5th, completely inconsequential, but that's how it is. Anyway, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Wait. We're not done yet. A few people from the Trans Am group encouraged me to give another go. We have a few opportunities left to try again, so let's see what happened on attempt number 2. This time, we have a different group of people to race against. I think only one of the same drivers are in this race, a certain SMI 32 who we saw miss out on the victory in attempt 1, so they'll be looking for redemption because they had fantastic pace in that Lexus. For myself, I'm hoping firstly for a top 5. The point system will be the same for this race because our DR didn't actually increase after that first one, which I kind of thought it would, but regardless, yeah, the points will be the same. I think they're DR based anyway. So we need a top 5 to at least match our score from the previous one, otherwise we'll come away from this round with less points than what we could have. But if I can get onto the podium, then we will score more points, which is the ideal situation. I think the win is out already off the cards because I know how fast SMI 32 is, but you never know. We could get very lucky if they have a bad qualifying and get caught up in some kind of trouble. So we move swiftly on to qualifying then, and we will see how this goes. We're already having to dodge a few GTRs on our outlap, and yeah, this is not ideal. I want to get in front of these two. They seem a little bit all over the place, so I don't want to be on my qualifying lap behind those two. Thankfully, we managed to sneak through on the inside as we get onto Conrod Straight as they crash and bash their way through the outlap. But hopefully, for their own sake, we'll be able to get a clean lap in, throughout the session. But anyway, we move on. This is our first flying lap, and we made the same mistake we did in the first qualifying session, too deep into turn 3 and just grazing the outside wall. Not too badly, but that basically ruins that lap. So we once again only have one chance really to put a good lap in. We're actually second so far as we begin our second flyer, so hopefully we can improve on that time, and maybe we'll have a chance, but SMI 32 has already put in a good time, so it's going to be tough. But we'll see how it goes as we enter Griffin's Bend, turn 2, and we get through there pretty nicely. All we really need is a clean lap. There's a few tricky points, but if we can navigate all of those, that's one of them. We got through turns 3, don't hit the inside wall of turn 4, don't hit the outside wall of turn 4. We narrowly missed both of those, so that is honestly about half the work done. Most of the track limits or wall collision penalties I've been getting are in the first or in the first half a lap. Really, I get a few in that section which has been through over the top of the mountain as we head down through the S's. There's a few more spots to watch out for here, but this section hasn't been too bad for me despite the close proximity of the walls. As long as we don't hit that one on the right, we should be fine. So we now head into Forest Elbow, and we'll see if we can get a nice run through here. Potentially a little bit tight on the inside line, but we stay clear of the walls, and that is the most important thing through there. And now we launch ourselves on to Conrod Straight. No penalty to serve on this lap for the first time in any of these qualifying sessions, so this is immediately going to be a much better lap than anything before. Just for that, we're already still in second position, so we might not even need this lap, as strange as it sounds. But we have a bit of a slide through the chase, nothing too much to worry about though, as we now head towards Murray's Corner into the braking zone. Don't ruin the lap here after all the hard work earlier on. We did run a little bit wide of the apex and a bit of a moment on the exit, but it's not too bad. We're going to come across the line. We'll set a pretty decent lap time. It's a 2:07.1. and that should solidly secure second place on the grid for us. SMI 32, assuming they don't make too many mistakes, I think has basically won this race already. They've put themselves in clean air, and that is going to be everything, I think, in this kind of field. Interestingly, there's a few D-ranked drivers, so a few higher ranked drivers in this race compared to the first, so They didn't qualify particularly well though so far, so yeah, that's interesting to see. But of course a lot of E-rank drivers are probably just haven't increased their rank yet, so potentially I don't know what my rank should be theoretically, but maybe I should be D or C rank, I'm not sure, but of course we all start on E, even the very best. So that's the way it is right now. I considered starting the race on hard tyres as before, but I've worked hard in qualifying. There's a points system, same as before. Worked hard in qualifying to make sure we can stay clear of traffic. So after the experience in the first one of coming across a few other cars after making our pit stop, I decided this time we're going to start on the mediums, go long and pit on lap 13 of 14 for the hard tyres, which use them for the final lap, and that should keep us clear of all the other traffic, and if anyone catches up to us, that means they're faster, that's fine, but for the most part I think it will allow us to run our own race. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so here we go then for the World Series and Manufacturers Cup Final 2023/24 Exhibition Series, Season 2, Round 3 at Mount Panorama Motor Racing Circuit. Or a race of GT3 cars at Bathurst. That's really all we need to know. Let's see how we all line up on the grid. Starting on pole position, we have SMI 32 in the Lexus. Starting P2, we have myself in the Viper. Starting from P3, we have MFR Oncha. Starting from P4, we have Morichin. In 5th position, Edmund Dantes. And from P6, we have Kakusei Zundamon. Starting from P7, we have LT. And in 8th position, we have Sugi at RS. P9, we have Batman. And in 10th position, Ton Oxk. In 11th position, Yupio. And in P12, Goto. Starting in P13, we have Omamentos. And starting in P14, Jamu the Damager. And in P15, T Juka. So, that was a lot of difficult names to pronounce. I did have to put that Kakusei Zundamon into Google Translate. That's how it says it's pronounced. Hopefully that's not wrong. I might just say Zundamon because that's the part I can actually read. I can read some Japanese, just not the complicated kanji characters. Regardless, let us continue and get started with this race, and we'll see how it goes, starting from the 2nd position here at Bathurst as the countdown begins and the jets fly overhead. We get racing and we head down towards the 1st corner. Not really too much for us to do, to be honest, in this single file rolling start format. It tends to generate boring starts. I say that, chaos is unfolded behind though, as multiple cars are off the road back there. Not exactly sure how all that played out. We've gotten through cleanly though, and just sitting in the slipstream of SMI 32, but we need to see what happened behind. We'll certainly be having a look, but for now we need to of course focus on the start of our race. But we've been given a birthday present of a couple of seconds, both of us, back to the next group of cars, so that has been very, very helpful for us at the start of this race, and that could play a big role if any fast people were caught up in that. That could dramatically change the course of this race, but we'll see how it all plays out later, of course. We go on board with the 3rd place starter now, MFR Oncha, and they run straight into the back of us in the braking zone. I did brake a little bit earlier than the car in front and the car behind, I will mention that, but that was quite significant contact, and Oncha goes off the road, loses a massive positions. That's heartbreaking at the start of this race, and the other cars just keep flying past, and that's a lot of damage done to to the race for MFR Oncha, who had good pace in qualifying, of course, started third, so that's a real shame, and they have a lot of work to do now. Well, that's a collision with the barrier. That's going to be a penalty there for sure. So just goes from bad to worse as everyone is trying to occupy the same part of the circuit there in front. Further back, I think this is on board with Morashin, and yeah, same or very similar. Just no time to react, straight into the back of the car in front, and now has Sugi closing in the slipstream. A little bit of a defensive move there, as bit of something going on in front there. We only just caught that, so we need to see that as well. But Morishin goes around the outside of two cars on the way into Griffin's Bend. Let's see that again. Just super late on the brakes all the way around the outside of the GTR and the Supra there, and moves up into third position. So a good start from Morishin, and yeah, that worked out very well. We go on board now with LT, I believe this is, and we'll see what happens here as oh no, sorry, this is on board with Edmund Dantes, the Supra up the hill, LT behind, looking for the move, and a contact awkwardly there. What was that? On the straight. We need to see the other angle, and now we'll go on board with LT in the GTR. Edmund Dantes will be up the road right there in the Supra. Got a little bit held up in that chaos at the start, as someone went flying off the road straight ahead as well. I believe that was Kakuse Zundamon who did that. And yeah, we'll see what happened here. I don't know, they just kind of went into each other. Looked like LT went to the left and Edmund Dantes went to the right at the same sort of time, and they just tangled weirdly on the straight. That's a weird one. I don't really know who did what to who there. It's a hard one to call. But that's what happened. This is on board with Sugi at RS, and right in behind Morishin, who we just saw move all the way up into third position. We're on board with one of the D rank drivers, and they managed to get through there pretty well. Bit of contact with the back of LT up the hill, but no harm done there, and they will race on as they continue. LT a little bit defensive there and goes deep, and nice decisive little maneuver to the inside, and that puts Sugi at RS up into fourth position. We go on board now with Oma Mentos, as down the inside it goes Jump with the damage, a bit too deep though, and doesn't quite get the move done in the other Viper. That was a full send maneuver though, didn't quite work out. I didn't quite show it, but I think this Porsche we are on board with got quite a bad start, having to start maybe on a bit of an angle through the final corner. But anyway, battling away side by side with the NSX there, gets through, and now is tucked in behind MFR Oncho, who started in third position, has dropped significantly down now. There's the collision with the barrier, and Oma Mentosu has a bit of a moment on the exit, collides with the outside wall and the inside wall, and Jump with the Damager gets through. So yeah, getting involved in a bit of everything at the first couple of corners. But anyway, this is on board with Batman, barges the Supra out of the way, so that's a little bit aggressive, but Batman gets through nonetheless. So with all of that, let's have a little run through, see who's where. SMI 32 leads the way as they head over Skyline for the first time. Myself in second position. In third we have Morishin, and then very close behind Sugi in the Red Bull. And all that's a shortcut for LT and Batman and a few others as well. Gotto gaining a position off the road, and I believe that was Tonox. And look at all this craziness going on here. That has absolutely scattered the field, and we have several cars trying to occupy the same piece of real estate here down to Forest Elbow. GTR out of control as they all try and find their way through, and find their own piece of road. Cars ghosting into each other at the exit of Forest Elbow, and now on to Conrod Straight. What's this going to look like by the time they get down to the chase? Several cars having to serve penalties. Look, it's just a wall, 3 or 4 cars there serving penalties at once. And that is absolute insanity, and some others just blazing on through. Thankfully they ghost, otherwise that would have been just a monumental incident. But that was ridiculous. That entire sequence was just very messy, as there was a car off there in the background. That's Goto getting some grass on the tyres down at Conrod Straight. There's the last place car versus the first place car, one at the penalty line, one heading up Mountain Straight over the crest. So massive field spread already in this race from all that chaos. Let's have a little debrief of what happened up at the top of the mountain. On board now with Ton Oxk as they head over the top of the mountain, down straight ahead through the shortcut there, and yeah, did not barely lift at all. So that was probably the biggest cause of the chaos. Then very slow through this whole section, and then UPO hard into the wall on the right, and T Juka making the move there, and trying to get through as cleanly as possible. There was a lot going on, and the penalty battle here along the straight is something else. That is just ridiculous. You know, all different people, all serving different lengths of penalties. You know, some drivers just flying on through with no penalties. It's just crazy. Anyway, looking at some more onboards here, and just driving straight through the car in front. That is absolutely fine. No worries at all. Oh, wow. That would have been quite a terrifying perspective to see live straight through another car. Laws of physics do not apply as we now head along Conrod Straight. This will be a great view of the penalty battle on board with Oma Mentosu, by the way, as there's all the parked cars on Conrod Straight, and now having a little look. Had to go one way or the other and chose the wrong side there, and LT bumps Juka off the road, so that's a shame, and we'll battle on, but that was an unfortunate little connection between those 3 cars. But further back, we also had the last place car spinning over the top of the mountain and down through the S's. That is Kakuse Zundamon, and they will have to do a many point turn to get around and back running once again. Yeah, it's so frustrating when you find yourself in this position. It's a skinny track, and yeah, it's very difficult to find yourself very difficult to turn around when you find yourself in that position. Anyway, we're on board with UPO now, the Ferrari that had a fairly violent collision into the wall, and was way too quick heading into the S's, and made some contact there. Then further along, the Toyota going very slow rams the Toyota, and then awkward contact there. I don't really understand the physics of that one, but regardless, they ended in the wall and backed out of the way, then quit the race, and that was the end of the day for them. But yeah, this whole sequence was just very messy. People, you know, making mistakes, other people reacting. I don't think there was anyone necessarily doing too much wrong, other than just making, you know, driver errors, and you know, others not having the time to react. But it was just very messy. Too many drivers into too many corners, all on top of each other, and a lot of people making mistakes. There's another incident, and it's Juco once again. They've had an absolute time in the first couple of laps of this one. This is now the beginning of lap 2 up at the cutting. And yeah, Juka finds themselves pointing the wrong way. Further up the road, we have MFR Onsha, who's had a bit of a disaster start as well, and it's not getting any better into the barriers there at the top of the mountain, just heading into the S's, and that's a real shame, as Damager is coming down through the S's now and into the barriers as well, and oh, that's more contact and more just awkwardness going on through the S's. A lot of people seemingly struggling with this, and that has left Oncha stranded once again across the road, back out of the way before the next car comes, just in time there. But that was awkward for all involved in that one. So that's a shame. I think they have better pace, but mistakes and getting caught up in incidents is incredibly costly. Speaking of mistakes, there's a little one for us. Chase lap 2, but thankfully we've got some clear air around us at the moment. Morishin also off at the chase, but seems to get away with it, and will continue on, heading now down towards Murray's Corner with that beautiful Gran Turismo 7 livery Porsche behind. And speaking of Porsche, that's not what you should be doing with your Porsche. That's another collision into the barrier over Skyline for MFR Oncha. Don't know, something about that car just does not agree with that part of the circuit. It's the second time we've seen that happen, so that's a shame. Anyway, this is Ton Oxk just bumping the barriers at the exit of Forest Elbow, and has a penalty to serve along Conrod Straight, so that'll cost them some time. So, it's these kinds of mistakes that I was making a lot of, first practicing for this race, but if we can keep it clean and avoid all this, we should be well clear of this lot, as Damager finds the exit wall at Forest Elbow very early there, actually, and Batman into the wall as well. So a few cars striking trouble at this zone of the circuit, and they are they get the damage as well for a while, which will also cost some time, especially heading onto Conrod Straight. If you get engine damage, that will reduce your straight line performance. So when you have a more significant collision with the barriers, it will be quite costly. So they are just burning time every time they make mistakes like that, which is very unfortunate. Meanwhile, we have Damager now on the back of LT, in the back of LT. The big boot space in that Skyline is full of Dodge Viper as they weave their way down through the S's, and this fight's been raging on for the entire lap now, as Damager punts LT into the barrier. Not sure that was really intentional, but that has put a bit of a messy end to what was a really great battle throughout the first half of the lap. They were running quite close for a long time there, but anyway, it's again, more of those mistakes, more getting involved in incidents, and this is on board with SMI 32 already putting a lap on the last place runner, Ton Oxk, at the moment. So there's, like I said, the field spread massive. We're not even halfway through the race, and last place has been put a lap down. So it just shows that there's a lot to say about consistency, and that is Duca spinning out of the race, and that is SMI having a little moment. Won't be too costly, but okay, there's a penalty for tapping the wall there, but they're not what they want, as side by side battle there, as MFR goes round the outside of LT into the braking zone. LT gives them a bump, and that sends MFR off the road, and they rejoin the road at a very acute angle there. But nonetheless, they get moving once again as we bump the inside wall there, and our run of strong lap times will come to an end. Didn't really mention it as much as I was planning to, but regardless, we did set 3 206s in a row, but that trend will not continue on this lap. But at the start of this race, we have had really good pace, and we're sort of just maintaining station in second position as into the barrier. Once again goes the NSX of Zundamon. Meanwhile, we have more battles going on, as side by side and around the outside heading towards the cutting. That was a nice move. MFR getting past LT and giving just a sneaky little bump on the way through, I think, to LT, as Batman finds the wall, and oh, that is a moment there as well for LT in the S's. So, you know, there's lots going on. I think, oh, that's Batman into the barriers again, and that has it's been a popular spot for all the wrong reasons for some of these drivers, and that's another mistake made at Forest's Elbow. But yeah, I think the chaos at the start of the race really upset the order, which is you know, what has triggered a lot of the chaos later in the races. Drivers are trying to work their way through, you know, and get their relative speed positions back. That's a little mistake, and off the road, and oh, 2 cars off the road in the same sequence there as Dantes goes for a spin. It was only a minor off for the Porsche in front, but yeah, that's bizarre to see both drivers in that battle for P6 on the road making mistakes at the same time. Speaking of mistakes, back on board with myself, we just grazed the inside wall there as we start dealing with lap traffic. They ghost automatically, but it's still a little bit distracting as Morishin finds the barriers there down through the S's. So that's another penalty to serve, and you know, more people just continuing to make mistakes, even those running closer to the front of the field, as the Supra finds the barrier and now has to deal with Damager making the way through. So yeah, that's oh, they're both in the barriers at Forest Elbow. Far out. This is a little bit silly. But anyway, heading down through the S's myself once again, and we will make slight contact with the barrier there, make sure we give ourselves another penalty and continue our run of mistakes we've had in the recent laps. I don't know what's going on. In the second half of the race, as of I think lap 7 was the first little hiccup in our race, the consistency just hasn't been there. I was ecstatic with how the race was playing out, having those 3 206s in a row. I was absolutely loving life. Now we've been overtaken for second position. We're down to third, and Sugi at RS has taken second place, and they've already made a pit stop, which is why we had such a big gap over them in the first place, to be fair. But yeah, for me the pace just hasn't been there. They've been doing like 205s at their best, I think. So they do genuinely have better pace. So even if we weren't making mistakes, they would have caught up at any rate. So yeah, that's a little unfortunate that we couldn't capitalize on the big gap we had at the start. We just didn't have enough pace to do that. But up the road, there's one driver who has had all the pace in the world. No one is going to get in the way this time for SMI 32. They missed out last time. It's going to be race victory this time for the Lexus, and SMI 32 will take home the trophy for first place here at Bathurst. So that is fantastic for them. They'll be very happy with that. Coming to the line second will be Sugi RS. Started a long way down the field, actually, in the number 1 car, but clawed it back to second. So a great drive from them. And for us, decent speed all throughout, aside from the mistakes. I'm very happy with the pace I had, and we are going to bring it home in third position, as there was still a little bit playing out just in front of us as we cross the line. That was the battle for last, believe it or not, and we're going to have a quick look at that now, because this is Zundermond into the chase, and making a bit of a mistake there, trying to chase down Batman, and will ultimately lose that little battle, as now into the final corner goes the NSX, and a little bit deep off the road there, out into the gravel trap, and that's going to allow LT to take second last position at the final corner, and a change for last at the last possible moment, as we were able to get through there as well, of course, on different laps in our case. But we improve on our result from the first attempt by 1, from 4th position to 3rd. That will get us 1 extra point. We'll have 13 points after this race. So yeah, that's after a very chaotic race has proven worthwhile for us, and we get an extra point. For us, if you if you actually look at our race, not much really happened. We, I guess, had a role to play in the chaos at the start, just braking a bit earlier than what everyone else was expecting. The last thing I wanted to do was run into the back of SMI32, so I was a little on the cautious side, maybe a bit too cautious. But that's easy to say that now. When you're not going at your regular speed, it's very hard to pick a braking point into the first corner. Which is just what happened. I picked a braking point, and it was a bit earlier than what everyone else had in mind. But after that, the next time we really saw a car, aside from putting car's lap down, was when Sugi at RS got past us on lap 13, and that was it. That was our race. So yeah, that's why I wanted to just focus more on all the other chaos that was going on, because nothing was happening in our race, which is what I set out to do. Have a quiet race and bring home a good result in clean air, and we managed to do that. Interestingly, if you look at the increases and decreases to DR and SR that everyone gets, almost everyone gets an increased safety rating, except the guy called the Damager, which I find quite funny. But if you look at the DR, everyone with higher rankings, the D rank drivers get an increase, and the E rank drivers get absolutely nothing, including myself and SMI32, who beat D rank drivers. So I don't know how that works, but anyway, that's a whole thing. Before we finish off, I should also mention that I know I did mention a few times that it was a very messy race. A lot of drivers made quite a few mistakes throughout the course of this one, including myself. Braking too early at the first corner, and then the incident with Tag, of course, in the first race. Those were very bad incidents, and in reference to braking too early into the first corner, that probably set off the whole chain of events in this race, and all the chaos that happened behind us throughout the whole thing. I made my own fair share of mistakes as well. Not trying to say it's everyone else, but I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, that is all for this one. So I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It's always very helpful. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye. Aston Martin, G7, Lamborghini, Volkswagen, Toyota, and Ford, Mercedes, Manufacturer's Cup Final. That's not going into the video.